All right, quick question. What's on top of the U.S. Capitol building? It's not an eagle. The answer may surprise you here on Tinfoil Tuesday.
So if you like exposing truth and dropping truth bombs, then welcome to Tinfoil Tuesday.
I want the truth.
A big shazam to you people from Appalachia Bees. Welcome to episode 2 of Tinfoil Tuesday. I had a great time getting today ready for you, but I get to the end and I'm like, oh. And I think by the end of today, you're going to learn some stuff. You're going to be, if you're like me, you're going to go, oh. But you're also, and I'm going to hand it to you, I'm going to give you some areas to go chase and learn and explore. We're talking about secrets of Washington, D.C. I don't think it's good. It's certainly, I'm telling you, I'm not going to go all the way demonic, but it's fishy. Today's episode is brought to you by Appalachia Bees. I'm wearing it today, the Appalachia Bees tee from TristarTrading.com. Softest tees in the game. They got a huge selection, all the way up to 6X. There's a link down below. Jump over there, TristarTrading.com. You people, get yourself subscribed, ring that bell. Thank you. Thanks for a thumbs up. All right, I'm gonna open with this. Too often when I talk about things in person or online, and I'll say, this happened for 500 years, or this was seen, observed, a phenomenon by 500 people. And people who maybe not be into this kind of stuff, they'll dismiss it all with one sentence. Oh, that was just this. Swamp gas. It's the government. The government did it. For this one, it's not an accident. We have Washington, D.C. that has demonic secrets or occultic secrets, pagan secrets, satanic secrets, Freemasonry secrets, symbology and iconography everywhere in the entire town. And even the town itself and the structure, I'm going to go over that in a second. It's really big, but it can't be dismissed with, oh, they're Freemasons. It's not that easy. This is big. Number one, it's big. Number two, it's not an accident. This was planned over a long period of time, and I believe is still going on today. And number three, here's the deal. Have you ever heard people say this? Hey, if this is what they show you, what's going on the inside? If a restaurant's bathrooms and your seating area, your dining area is dirty, what's going on in the kitchen? If Washington, D.C. is laid out and constructed with all of this stuff on the outside, what's going on the inside? And to me, that's the actual scary part. I love America. I don't trust the government, but I love this place. I am an American. I'm a proud American, but I'm saying there's some secrets in that city. I've got a big question today. Why?
Why?
That's the big one. Why? Why do we have all of this Egyptian architecture and all of this stuff going on all over the place? Why? Nobody will tell me why, and you can't just go, oh, it's just Freemasonry. I want to open with the idea of sacred architecture. People don't build buildings on accident. There is symbology in building shapes, building styles, the material they build with, the location, the direction of building, all of this stuff matters. And it's not just here, it's ancient. It's not just the Greeks or the Romans and the big ones. It's everywhere. Worldwide, from Argentina to Japan, there are sacred structures, buildings specifically, but there's also sacred structures like obelisks in Egypt and in the United States. Weird, but it's all over the world. And then you get down to the actual stuff they put into buildings, and we get into iconography and sacred statues and sacred forms. And some of it's kind of cool. There's some really cool things, I think, at least from, I'm a Christian. I told y'all that last week. And I'm a Christian, and there's some things that we consider sacred, and some buildings. The power is not in the building, but it's a symbol or symbology. It can be used for good. It can also be used for some scary stuff. Now, I want to know the big why. I want to open with the idea that there is ancient iconography all over Washington, D.C., and we are too far removed from a lot of these ideas in people. When you've got Poseidon being such a sweetheart, powerful but lovable in The Little Mermaid, and we forget that's a god that was worshipped, and we are too far. Disney has removed us too far from the ancient gods and goddesses and what they represent. Not just the idea that we can, in English class of high school, rattle off Minerva and Poseidon and Thor. Now we've got Thor running around in Disney movies and just having themselves a a great time in the Marvel universe, and we forget these were actual gods that people worshiped, and there is power associated with that, though it be a false power. It is a power. I think for me, it's a good reminder, and I went back today and watched some of it. The movie Apocalypto by Mel Gibson is something I think we all need to watch. Proceed with caution. It's a rough tale, but it will show you the violence, the evil, and I will even say the demonic activity of worshiping these false gods that all of human history has gone through. This is not a new concept, and it's not narrowed down to just the Greeks or just the Romans. It's worldwide, and we need to remember that. When you walk through Washington, D.C., and you go through example, the Library of Congress, and you start seeing like these statues of Athena and Minerva, or depictions or iconography or paintings, that's not by accident, and that doesn't come without a price. There is a price to pay to having all of this nonsense, at times evil, maybe sometimes benign and just an homage or learning the classical literature, classical stories, classical history. Sometimes you're just learning history, but other times there's a price to pay for that. And you go to the Library of Congress for starters, and you start seeing all of this stuff. You got in the Library of Congress, you've got all sorts of wild, the War and Peace that's there. Again, Minerva's there. Outside, you've got, I believe, it's the Library of Congress. You got Poseidon and Neptune. And we're like, that's Disney, Poseidon, that's the dad of Little Mermaid. You sure about that? You sure about that? Poseidon, man, there are, I don't know, hundreds of thousands, millions of people that have died in the name of Poseidon. And when you go back to the war in the Peloponnese and what they were sacrificing to and what they were sacrificing their own lives for, man, it gets wild, not to digress. Today I called Logan. Y'all remember Chainsaw Logan from the back during the flood? Y'all remember him, and a lot of y'all participated in that fundraiser. Well, he's more than just a chainsaw. I called him and he said, "Hey, good morning." I said, "Hey, I'm gonna hit you with a question. What's going on in Washington D.C.?" He goes, "The apotheosis of George Washington." I was like, "What? Apotheosis? I'm from Appalachia. It's the ascension of George Washington in the rotunda. And this is a wild one. I knew about that. I didn't know the name was apotheosis. But it's the idea that George Washington was ascended to heaven. That is not something that we talk about with humans. That is a godlike characteristic. The ascension of George Washington upon his death to heaven is depicted in the rotunda. Now think rotunda, and put it in the back of your mind that womb-like structure, which is an ancient symbol, but this womb-like structure, and in the top is all sorts of nonsense. There are gods up there. There are within that painting, you're going to see hammers and compasses and all sorts of anybody, Freemasonry symbolism, but just the very idea of George being put up to the status of demigod or God or a godlike ascension to his throne is weird at best. At worst, it is frightening, and that is a wild one. Now, on the other side of the mall from that rotunda is anybody? You know what it is. It's the Washington Monument. And I want to know with this one, why?
Why?
Why do we have an Egyptian obelisk right in the middle of North America? Why? Why is there an obelisk? And not just an obelisk, the largest in the world. You can chase this if you would like to. There's a lot of stuff surrounding that and the location, the direction, and how tall it is. And there's some wild stuff with that. Some is accurate, some is not, some is conjecture. But we have an obelisk in the middle of our capital, and I find that wild. A lot of theories about their, and you can chase this. I'm giving you a homework assignment. Why are they laid out the way they are? Why do we have the womb and the phallic object? Insert any joke you want to, but there's a lot there, and there's things you can chase. This is a 300-year situation that has taken to unravel to where we're at in 2025. I can't cover it in 12 minutes. You can chase it if you'd like to. Be back to the Washington Monument in just a second. Speaking of the layout of that town, I was watching a YouTube video earlier today, and they were talking about D.C. and the secrets of D.C. and this guy, I'll try to find it here and put it up here, but he was showing how D.C. is laid out so cool and that you can get anywhere in the city because of these crisscross streets, and I'm like, that's not a thing. That's not how you move people from point A to point B. What could it be? And I think this one's pretty well verified that the entire structure, which was planned, not an accident, of Washington, D.C. is a pentagram. It's there. It is right there. And you can also move into Star of David kind of stuff, which I'm not touching today's Satan. But there is a lot going on in the streets. We've got all of these Roman gods, Greek gods everywhere. I open with the idea of what's on the top of that rotunda. I thought it was an eagle until not that long ago. And nope, it is not. And then I learned, oh, it's just Lady Liberty. Yeah. For starters, it's called the Statue of Freedom or the Statue of Libertas or Liberty. And you can chase that. I read a white paper this morning on it by an actual researcher. And he was talking about Libertas, and it got troubling that quick. This is an ancient warrior, an ancient goddess, this is not good. And you look at this symbolism from the very beginning, this medallion that's around her neck is important. But then you go to, why are there owls and snakes and feathers? And that adorns the very capital of our building. Some will dismiss and go, oh, it's an homage, or, oh, we took this symbolism and we made it for ourselves and we made it a good thing. And some will dismiss it as, oh, it's just the Freemasons. I find this, again, super, super troubling. There's a lot there. Now we come to the Eye of Horus, and the Eye of Horus, ancient Egyptian thing. Where's that one? Where's the Eye of Horus? Where is it? Great question. Lock it in. Lock in your answers. And no, it's not. It's not the Eye of Sauron, or is it? It is the Eye of Sauron. It's on our dollar bill. That's a wild one. I've never had anybody answer me this one. Why? Why is there an Egyptian pyramid on our dollar bill? It was just the Freemasons. You sure about that? There's a lot going on there. We have an all-seeing eye, and an incomplete pyramid, and then really two pyramids. And there's a lot going on there. And that is the very foundation of our capitalistic, how we literally feed our children. The very bottom base is the dollar bill. And we hand that back and forth all day long. Now we do it digitally, but of course it's the same thing. Why? Why is that there? I want to give you a little homework. That's a lot for today, but and you can chase any direction you want. I got two for you if you want to chase this. Up next is an idea. I got two for you. One, the Vesica Pisces, and that's an ancient symbol. Vesica Pisces. You hear that word Pisces, you think, and you think maybe Ichthus. It's all there. Why? Why is the George Washington Monument set on a Vesica Pisces? Fascinating on that one. And then finally, that's just our capital. Go look at other state capitals. This is going on everywhere. There is symbology, iconography, and troubling depictions that are everywhere. This is Tinfoil Tuesday, which is your opportunity to go, it's actually aluminum foil. Yeah, we know. On Tinfoil Tuesday, I'm about question marks. I often will go, hey, this happened. I know this happened. But the question marks are why or who or what. With this one, why do we have all this ancient Egyptian symbolism surrounding our capital? The answer for me is troubling at best, demonic at worst, and it's all still there. Next week on Tinfoil Tuesday, I'm going to show you clearly what I believe is the most accurate and well-documented UAP/UFO encounter everywhere. Let me know down below what you think. I'll see you next week on Tinfoil Tuesday.
Welcome to Tinfoil Tuesday. We hope you sing along.
You want answers? Diabetes.